Well, as the Modi government marks 3 years in power this week, joining us on the program tonight is one of the ministers who holds one of the most sensitive portfolios in this government. Dr. Jitendra Singh, Minister of State in the Prime Minister's office, joins us on NDTV this evening. Sir, thank you very much for talking to us today. I know that the government has had a lot to say in the course of these few days about its achievements. But if I could ask you, sir, very honestly, what do you think is the biggest challenge that the government faces in its remaining 2 years before the next general election? Do you think that challenge is on the employment front or internal security or something else?
You think, Nidhi, you must appreciate that looking back 3 years, when we started off, there was a general sense of pessimism all over the country. And people looked up to Prime Minister Modi with a great deal of expectation. And you would also recall that among one of the earlier statements made by Prime Minister Modi was कि ये सरकार गरीब को समर्पित है. I'm not sure how seriously would that statement might have been taken at that point in time, particularly because there's so much of cynicism among the common man in this country, going by the conditioning and experience of the past decades. And even if it was believed, how much it was remembered. But now looking back 3 years, I think we stand sufficiently vindicated from the point of view that series of new initiatives, some of them very path-breaking, have been taken with the nucleus as the poor man or the youth of the country. And of course, because this is 2017 India, which comprises more than 65% of population below the age of 40, 35, and as you said, employment and other concerns. This is aspirational population now, and rightly so, because obviously so it is below the age of 35, 40. So all these schemes have actually touched the chord of the common man, of the youth. And in the remaining 2 years, as you rightly mentioned, we would have to carry them forward to achieve the targets which we have laid down for ourselves. And I think what is most gratifying and what makes me most optimistic is that the common man of India, the common youth of India, has not only begun to identify with these initiatives, but also trusts Prime Minister Modi for his sincerity, his conviction, his courage of conviction, and his consistency. And therefore, any campaign which was started from on behalf of the government, even if it was, for example, Jan Dhan Abhiyan or it was remonetization,
because you made an important
ultimately
point.
We saw it happening as a mass campaign.
You made an important point on aspirations and the fact that so many people in this country, 65% of them are under the age of 35. And let me ask you what perhaps may be your biggest challenge in the next 2 years, and that would be on the employment front.
Yes.
I think it's clear that certainly you've not been able to create as many jobs as you had hoped. There are multiple reasons for that. There's new data that Naukri.com has come out with, which says that the overall job market has actually seen an 11% fall year to year, the April jobs index in the 4 major metros. And that includes in telecom, BPOs, insurance, construction sectors. That is April of this year as compared to April 2016. So they're saying there's an overall 11% fall in that. How concerned are you about this issue of job generation, and how confident are you that the targets that you've set can be met in 2 years?
No, I agree with you to the extent that when we have a population, 2017 India, comprising 65% or more than that below the age of 35, 40, and therefore we have to address the aspiration, the priorities of the youth, and which primarily is a good, decent livelihood. But at the same time, I think all of us agree that government cannot provide jobs to all, and therefore not employment but employability has to be the ultimate objective. And I have the confidence to say that in the last 3 years, the government has tried to proceed in that direction. The host of these programs, Startup India, Stand Up India, the Mudra program, all these programs are actually aimed to create capacity for self-employment. And therefore, it's not per se employment, per se not even employment generation. It says possibly creating in every individual capacity or making him realize his potential in whatever area or whatever field or by whatever means to earn his or her own livelihood.
Why do you think that's
and
not
to that
happening,
extent,
though?
for example, I'm also looking after Northeast.
Yes.
Yes, for example, I'm also looking after Northeast. You would recall that it is for the first time after 60, 70 years of independence that Northeast has received the kind of attention which it never received. And Sikkim has been declared as the first organic state of India. And added to the startup program, which has some unique provisions like tax holiday for the youngster,
sure, but
or 3 months
why do you
exit
think
period.
that those
added to that,
programs have not generated the kind of jobs you
example,
wanted? Why do you think that they've not generated the jobs that clearly, I mean, was one of the priority areas when the government came to power? So what do you think has gone wrong?
I would not, no, absolutely nothing gone wrong, and I would not also subscribe to the conclusion that they have not created the kind of results that were envisaged. It takes time. Now, for example, as far as Startup India I was referring to got interrupted, we have some very unique provisions like tax holiday, exit period, etc., etc. Added to that, for example, in the Ministry of Donair, which is dealing with Northeast, we have also added the extra incentive of providing venture fund to any youngster who wishes to set up an entrepreneurship in Northeast. Now, look here. To create an atmosphere and to create a kind of environment which becomes investment friendly and which also provides the youngsters sufficient kind of incentive and sufficient and the compatible milieu also takes time. We've been there just for about 3 years. When we came in, for example, I'm just again going back to the example of Northeast. Northeast did not have even sufficient connectivity. Some of the states like Meghalaya and Arunachal Pradesh had never seen a train in their all their life, and they were never in the rail map of India. Now we are going to have a double gauge railway track within next 2 years in all the states of Northeast, barring perhaps Sikkim.
We didn't have a proper. Only 3 years. So all these infrastructure. Then that the job targets that were set initially by the government were then too ambitious? Because we're nowhere near those targets.
No, I think we need to be ambitious. I don't regret that. Rather, I would say we need to be ambitious. We are in a hurry. We are in a hurry, and I don't deny that. We have to be. We have to make up for much which could have been done in the preceding decades, and it is very, very, very sometimes saddening and disheartening to see that it has not happened. Do you know, in May last year, we had a plenary meeting of the Northeast Council in Shillong, and it was after 40 years that the Prime Minister of India was visiting Shillong for that meeting. The last one was Shri Morarji Desai. So I think the kind of neglect which had happened all these years and the kind of wrong prioritization would also have taken time to be put in place. So everything moves wholesomely. Even, for example, if you just look at the job generation or the employability conditions, they have to move hand in hand with the other ancillaries.
Well, I think there's a clear. I think it's clear that job generation is clearly the big challenge, in the remaining part of the term. But Dr. Singh, let me also ask you and turn my attention to Jammu and Kashmir. You're from Jammu and Kashmir, and the security situation there has been quite a big concern. In your assessment, what do you think the government can do at this point to assuage the people, the section of people in the valley in particular, who feel alienated? I'm not talking about those, I'm not talking about Pakistan's involvement, I'm not talking about those who may be professional stone pelters, but that section of the Kashmiri population, which I'm sure you understand, that feels aggrieved. Do you think that there is a way a dialogue can be opened up with them? And I'm not even talking about the Hurriyat.
Certainly. I get your point. See, first of all, we have to have normalcy restored over there. You cannot also engage in any kind of a peacetime initiative unless you have a compatible environment. If you have a stone pelting around or if you have din around, you can't even engage yourself in a dialogue. And certainly you're not talking of Hurriyat, then why should you be talking about Hurriyat? Because there are other stakeholders which are much more important. And when we are talking in the context of Kashmir and the common population of Kashmir, and going back to what we were discussing in the earlier question, we have the youth. I think the most important stakeholder in Kashmir today is the youth of Kashmir, which again comprises more than 60% of the population. And what is heartening and what is, I think, most gratifying today, possibly the saving grace, is that the youth of Kashmir is very keenly looking forward to be a part of the development journey led by Prime Minister Modi. He does not wish to be left out of all the enormous benefits which are available to the youth in the other states of the country. And I'm not saying this without evidence or without facts. The manner in which youngsters come out looking for jobs. Only the other day, I think just about 2 or 3 days back, you had a selection process going on for just about 700 police sub-inspector posts, and you had as many as over 68,000 young boys and girls defying all the diktats of terrorists or their perpetrators and offering themselves to any kind of scrutiny for a job selection.
Dr. Singh, I think
you have more and more number of youth in spite of all these. So I think, yes.
It reflects an acute unemployment in the state as well.
Yes.
You're right. And every year, you know, when the army does recruitments, when the police does recruitments, many thousands turn up. But that also shows that how desperate they are for jobs. Can I ask you though, how worried are you when you're talking about the youth of Kashmir, Dr. Singh? How worried are you when you see young women in college throwing stones at security forces? This is new. This is something we didn't see.
If you finish, then I'll talk. See, it can't be that simplistic an observation. Unemployment and job is a problem all over the country. It's not a problem exclusively with Jammu and Kashmir or Kashmir Valley. Having said that, please understand what I was trying to say, that in spite of everything else, or as they say, notwithstanding everything else, they are more in increasing numbers compared to ever before coming forward to be a part of the developmental opportunities available with mainstream India. You have more and more number of boys and girls coming and appearing for the civil service exam. You have toppers now every year. Even this year, the second topper was from the most militancy affected area of Anantnag.
But I'm only asking
now I'm just trying to put it in perspective. Yeah. Yes, I'll come to that. I'll come to that also. Unemployment exists as it exists in every other state of the country. But just as any other state, you would find young boys and girls coming out to make best use of the opportunity. You find the same scenario in the valley.